Your aquarium will warn you long before anything actually goes wrong, but only if you know what to look for. Most crashes don't happen suddenly. They build up in areas we don't typically focus on. Today, I want to show you the subtle signs that your aquarium is heading towards a crash, so you can catch the problem early and fix it before it ever becomes a disaster. A thin layer of biofilm on the surface is normal, especially in brand new aquariums where everything is still stabilizing. But a thick, stubborn layer that keeps coming back in an established tank is a sign you shouldn't ignore. Because when that happens, it usually means one thing: your bacteria colony took a hit, and now your system is struggling to keep up. Biofilm is made of proteins, fats, dissolved organics, and bacteria. So when it suddenly gets thicker, it means those organics are building up faster than your bacteria can process them. Maybe you uprooted plants and released waste into the water column, or you might have cleaned your filter a little too well. Whatever the cause is, the result is the same. Your beneficial bacteria population drops, and biofilm tries to take over the job temporarily. Thick biofilm also blocks gas exchange, which lowers oxygen, and low oxygen weakens bacteria even more. So the problem can snowball. Also, this usually happens before you see algae, before you see plant melting, and before ammonia becomes detectable. If this happens in a tank that was stable for months, take it seriously. Check your filter, check for dead spots in the substrate, lower feeding for a bit, and let the bacteria recover. Don't treat the biofilm, treat the cause, because once the bacteria bounces back, the surface film disappears on its own. There's a warning sign in your aquarium that shows up long before plants melt, long before algae appears, and long before your fish looks stressed, and almost nobody talks about it. The earliest sign that your tank is heading towards instability is actually a sudden change in your microfauna. I'm talking about the tiny creatures we usually ignore. These organisms react faster than anything else in your tank. They live in the biofilm, in the substrate, and in the water column. So they are the first to feel low oxygen, pH swings, organic spikes, or anything that harms your bacteria colony. And because their life cycles are so fast, they show you problems way before anything else does. The first red flag is a sudden disappearance. This usually points to disrupt bacteria, low oxygen at night, overcleaning, chemical contamination, or simply too much waste buildup. The second red flag is the complete opposite: an explosion. If the microfauna population suddenly triples overnight, it's almost always because something is decaying. Excess food, melting plants, disturbed substrate, diseased snails or fish, or a filter that's not keeping up. Microfauna warn you long before the crash arrives. If you see either a sudden collapse or a sudden boom, don't ignore it. Fix it early, and you avoid the crash entirely. If you guys are enjoying the video, remember to like and subscribe. It helps the channel grow and get to more people who love this hobby. Something that almost no beginners know about is the hidden waste layer that forms at the very bottom of your substrate. Over time, the lower 1 to 2 centimeters turn into a nutrient trap, and it happens in every planted tank. Fish waste, uneaten food, plant debris, all of it slowly sinks through the granules until it settles in the lowest part of the substrate. And because that layer isn't exposed to oxygen, it breaks down very slowly. When it stays undisrupted, it's usually harmless, but the moment you dig too deep, uproot all plants aggressively, or stir the substrate during maintenance, you release everything that has been building up down there. That sudden release can hit your water column with a wave of organics and trapped waste, and that's when you get ammonia spikes, cloudy water, bacterial blooms, and algae outbreaks seemingly out of nowhere. The easiest way to prevent all of this is surprisingly simple. Don't disrupt the bottom layer. Trim plants above the substrate instead of pulling them out. And if your substrate is getting old and starting to break down, clean only the surface layer, not the deeper part. Protecting that bottom layer keeps your tank stable, and stability is what prevents crashes long before they start. Most people think they have good flow in their aquarium, but what actually happens in a lot of tanks is that only half the aquarium is getting proper circulation, while the other half is basically stagnant water. Flow doesn't move in straight lines, it moves in loops. Your outflow pushes water across the tank, it hits the opposite wall, and then it needs to return towards the filter somehow. If that return path is blocked by hardscape, plants, or just weak flow, your tank ends up with pockets where nothing moves. In those dead zones, waste settles, CO2 doesn't spread evenly, oxygen levels drop, and algae loves to grow. You think it's a nutrient or CO2 problem, but really it's a circulation problem. And here's the easiest way to test it without any tools. Take a pinch of crushed flakes or very fine food and sprinkle it near your outflow. Watch how the particles travel. If they move across the tank and naturally return towards the filter, your flow loop is working. But if they hit a wall and fall straight down, or if half the tank barely moves at all, you found your stagnant zone. Fixing this is simple. Move a hardscape piece that's blocking the return path, or increase flow just a little so the loop can complete itself. There's a small area in every aquascape that can destroy carpeting plants, and most of us don't notice it until the plants start melting for no reason. It's not a nutrient issue, not a CO2 issue, and not even an algae problem. It's the shadow line. This is the exact spot where your hardscape or bushy stems cast a permanent, unmoving shadow across the substrate. Carpeting plants can handle short shadows throughout the day, but a constant shadow in the same exact place is really bad. Regardless of what carpet you have, they all struggle when the light can't reach them consistently. Even high-tech tanks with strong lighting can't compensate for a shadow that never moves. In nature, the sun shifts. In our aquariums, our lights don't. So if your hardscape blocks the light in one specific area, those plants will always get less energy than the rest of the carpet, and that area will melt and disappear or cause algae problems. The trick is simple. Look at your tank from above. Trace the shadows your hardscape casts directly downward. That exact outline is the no plant zone for carpeting species. You can still plant moss, bucephalandra, anubias, or slower shade plants there, but never try to force a carpet into the shadow line. It will fail every time, even in an otherwise perfect setup. Once you learn to identify this tiny zone, your carpet grows thicker, spreads faster, and stays algae-free. These signs seem subtle, but once you learn to recognize them, you'll always know when your aquarium is heading in the wrong direction. If you've noticed any of this in your own tank, let me know in the comments, and I'll help you figure out what's really going on.